And now let's get more updates from London, UK. We have Alia Karenina live by phone from London. Hi, Alia.
Hey.
Hi. So England voted overwhelmingly for Brexit, but Scotland and Northern Ireland backed Remain. So how has been going there so far?
Well, let's say that right now the British people woke up today to a different UK altogether. The Eurosceptics who pushed through the Britain exit agenda from the EU won by, like around 52%. The number itself is not very surprising, and it was earlier predicted. The polls are going to be very tight. And despite of an awful weather yesterday, I must say the vote turnout was not bad at all at 72%, which is roughly around 4% more than the 2013 election. However, I can say that overall atmosphere was pretty quiet when the voting chance opens and when it closes as well. There was not many people actually campaigning in full areas, either for Remain or for exit. But I would say clearly most people are devastated with the result.
Devastated, but you mentioned quiet. But is there any hot talks about this issue basically, because this is kind of a historic moment?
Yes, it is, I would say. But I mean, on the campaign day itself, there is pretty much, I would say, the Indians are pretty calm. But after the results are out today morning, people are just genuinely devastated. Most of the students and the British people that I know and ask, they would say that, what have we done? And there is actually some saying that there's this petition for the second EU referendum to the UK government and Parliament. And it was so popular that actually this website crashed. So we were just kind of hoping whether it was possible to get a petition, I thought. Then we know that probably the chances are pretty low.
All right, Alia, in terms of demographic measures such as education level, can you tell us more about which ones who voted to stay or leave the most?
Well, I think in general, it's safe to say that the higher education people mainly support the Remain campaign. For example, in London Borough, central London, which has the highest degree number of population, voted mainly for Remain, while the Havering area in London as well, with unfortunately subsequently the lowest number of people with degrees, is the most pro-Leave area in London Borough. And similar case with Scotland, who has a high number of well-educated people we know with lots of universities there, Edinburgh and Glasgow, are also mostly in favor of Britain to remain in the EU. And what I can say also about the age-wise is actually the population over 60 were the most likely group to want to leave the EU.
Well, some say this could be the darkest Friday for Britons, but based on the local headlines, what are the main reasons for those who voted to leave?
I think the main reason, the big propaganda that the Vote Leave campaigners say was about economic risk and immigration and how these two correlate. How would immigrants come to the UK and take away Britain's jobs? And more people feel since 1975, Britain has not had to say much in the EU, and they feel that the EU is slowly gaining more control over their daily lives. And I think that's what actually led the pressure for EU referendum, which was promised by David Cameron when he campaigned for the 2015 general election. During that time, though, I think David doesn't really have a choice but to succumb to his own Conservative Party and the UK Independent Party.
And plus, like Nigel from the UKIP suddenly changed his mind and thought it's a bad idea to leave. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, Nigel Farage, I would say, is a very slick politician, but he did actually say that it was a bad idea to leave. We know that at 4 a.m. this morning, he delivered a victory speech, per se, saying the dawn breaking on an independent UK. And just a couple of hours after, in an interview with ITV's Good Morning Britain, he said he was going to stake for the Vote Leave campaign to say that it would save £350 million a week by leaving the EU, and that money would go to the NHS, which is the biggest healthcare provider in the UK, probably like the BPJS Kesehatan in Indonesia. And if you look back during the campaign period, it was very clear the Red London bus with the let's save £350 million for the NHS written all over it, roaming around London. It was probably the biggest campaign that actually worked for, I would say, the mass of Britain who would want bigger benefit from the NHS, which now he is saying that's not the case because they would probably only save around £100 million.
So yeah, and the Prime Minister, he reacted and also resigned. So what did he point out in his speech, basically?
Well, he was kind of like speculated before the votes that when the votes turned out to be ugly and Britain decided to leave, that David Cameron would also step down. In his speech a couple of hours ago, he said that the will of the British people must be respected, and he stands by his own personal belief that Britain is better and safer in the EU. However, he would continue to be the Prime Minister at least until October this year when the Conservative Party meets. He said, and I quote, "I would send the ship, but I'm not the captain to take Britain to its destination," meaning that he would leave the responsibility of renegotiating Britain's position in the EU for the new Prime Minister, which we don't know who it might be yet, but speculations are there that Boris Johnson, the former mayor of London, who is also from Conservative Party, might run for the Prime Minister.
Okay, Alia, one more question. So what are the outlook after this, like the upcoming escalated issues after this?
I would say that now probably the unity of the United Kingdom might be a bit in a doubt, as Scottish National Party said that it sees the future as part of the EU, regardless of what the polls say. Nicola Sturgeon, which is the Scotland's First Minister, indicated that Brexit could lead to another vote on Scottish independence, as Scotland clearly voted to remain part of the European Union by 62%. We know that in 2014, Scotland made a referendum which voted remain in the UK, but actually basically asking for independence. And also the sad part is that there is the possibility for Northern Ireland as well, as Ireland already said that it would accept Northern Ireland back to its sovereignty because Northern Ireland also voted for Remain.
All right. Alia Karenina, thank you so much.